to see you here in the Christmas tapes. Was this something that found its way to you through Greg Sestero or something that just came across your desk because they know you have a penchant for dark humor?
You know what? I actually don't know how they reached out to me. I kind of forget that. Um, First of all, thank you for having me.
Of
Yeah,
course.
we're on to talk about our new film, The Christmas Tapes, which is like a collective anthology of a found footage, horror found footage type stuff, like uh, sort of like the Blair Witch type stuff, but
Yeah.
more comedy based, obviously, and it's all has a theme of Christmas going throughout them. And Greg is sort of the main piece who takes kidnaps a family and forces them to watch his Christmas tapes, opposed to the standard, the Grinch or the Christmas Story or
Yes.
whatever, those Elf, so to speak, like all those Christmas movies the family gathers around and watches each year. It's a Wonderful Life. And so you originally asked me, how did I even get involved? And I don't recall. All I know is I got a phone call from Rob Livings, the director. He contacted me. So I think he basically just got my number off the internet. I never really asked him actually, because my number is on the internet. If you go to IMDb, you'll see my number listed there, my email. If you go to any one of my social media sites, my numbers and emails are always there. So I'm always reachable. Just give me a call. I'm Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. Dave. I added Dave to that. I'm Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap Dave. There you go. But I'm excited about it. It's a fun film. I
I
love the fact
agree.
that there was really no preparation for it. We shot this in Sacramento. Super, a lot of people throw around the term ultra low budget. And this movie was probably made for $25,000, if that, you know. I can't see it. If Rob spent any more on it, then he overpaid. And so he's, but it looks great for what it is. And the reason why I say it probably didn't cost that much money is because that's one of the benefits of shooting found footage type movies is you're able to use iPhones and handy cams, and edit on your laptop and get the movie made. And there's really no lighting. There's no, we've got some sound equipment and some handheld cameras that actually in my particular short, I'm using the camera most of the time. You know what I mean? He even got away with, okay, Dave, we want you to act. We want you to improvise the whole thing. There's no script. Oh, we want you to shoot it and be the cameraman. So, and Rob was eating like cookies and hanging out in the other room. So it was a good gig. I should try that.
So they just gave you the premise. This is Paranormal Perry. This is his arc, kind of, or the theme of it, or not even that.
Not even that, really. Unfortunately, the night I was actually, and I'm not going to name the actress, I already have in a couple other interviews, and then I realized I probably shouldn't just because it's not my business to say other people's business, but there was another actress that her and I were going to play husband and wife, and we were ghost hunters. And we live in Los Angeles. We shot in Sacramento. And the night before, there was a family emergency that she was having. And really the day before. And then, so I was driving up with her and we had to make an audible at some point. She can't go because of the emergency that was happening. She couldn't leave. And so I waited and waited and waited until like the 11th hour. And I really do mean the 11th hour. It was 11 p.m. I left LA. And I think I arrived in Sacramento at 4 a.m. to show up to set at 8 a.m. And it was funny because I couldn't get into my hotel room. They had a hotel for me, but because it was so late, there was no one at the front desk. And it was one of these hotels you need a key to get inside. And I'm ringing the bell and knocking, and there was no one there. So I went and, kind of hung out and slept in my car until the call time. But with that said, there was a one-page story arc thing for a husband and wife. But now I was, and we couldn't cancel. Rob couldn't cancel. He already rented a house. He already had the other actors, the crew. everything was set up. That would have actually cost money, especially since he already rented the house. Have you seen it? You've seen it then. I haven't seen it. I got to get a link from.
I'll pass you the screener link
I would love
after
that.
this.
Please, please. I think they did send it to me, and I just maybe it got lost in the shuffle of emails. Or sometimes people text me stuff, and that's a problem. I'd rather get important information emailed,
Okay.
like your link here.
Okay.
Um, that was emailed. When it's texted, then I have no choice but to use it off my phone, which I'm doing anyway.
Yeah.
However, when there's Zoom meetings like this, sometimes you might be by your laptop and want to use your laptop so that you have access to your phone. Because right now I couldn't Google or look. So I guess I could use a laptop, which is actually over here, but it's over there. Who knows? I'm not making it up. There is a laptop. But so with all that said, when we got up there, we had to really figure out, well, now what's the story? Who am I? So we really made up Paranormal Perry on the fly, and everything that I as I was creating the character and the background of the character, that's really what, the stuff you see me talk about was just me sort of inventing what is this guy's story. And things like that happen. I think if you saw it, then I don't know if this made it in the cut, but I'm walking through the room and I accidentally step on some ornaments that are on the ground, and I break one that was like one of her family's. And then I come back later on, I taped it together. All of that was completely, I really did step on stuff and I didn't know it, and it wasn't anything important. But then she said, oh my God, no, it was nothing, it belonged to my family. She improvised that. And then during a break, I thought, oh, wouldn't that be funny if I tried to fix it, trying to be nice, but it's completely hideous and fucked up, because I had no idea what it looked like before I stepped on it. So those are the things that start creating the character. I really do enjoy that. We did take a few takes. So as you discover things, then you want to accentuate, maybe refine them, but you don't have that much time. Like when I was at the Second City, we would take 6 months improvising these sketches over and over again as we wrote a new show. The show itself would take about 6 months. And the reason, but I digress actually, is because while we're improvising to write a new show, that's only a small portion of the show we're putting on at Second City, because we already have the other written show that we wrote the previous 6 months. So once we launch a new show, immediately we start to do 1 or 2 improv scenes each show that we're trying to find some gold for the next show that will be a scripted show. So, but it does take time, just like any, how like there's rock bands. Music is all improvised at the end of the day. I mean, somebody does write it, but it's a collaborative effort of people coming up with things, and usually a hook or something, a guy is just fiddling around finding. And so you look at a band like, say, Guns N' Roses, and their first album, Appetite for Destruction, was amazing. If there was 13 songs on that album, there was like 12 hits. But that's because that first album, they spent 10 years on the road, becoming the band that they were, from LA Guns, all the way up. And so, you know what I'm saying? So like, then they have to put out a second album, and they're only given a year. So usually a band's second album is not, their sophomore effort is usually a little less than their freshman effort, because the freshman effort had so much more time into it. So the one thing I would always wonder is, where would these ideas go in the Christmas tapes if it was, say, a Curb Your Enthusiasm TV show where you really had time to go on to another episode, and start to develop the characters further.
My goodness. So,
That's a lot, wasn't
I mean, it's just amazing how much of that was improvised, just because it all fit together so well for your tape. I mean, was there, other than stepping on these ornaments and coming up with your own dialogue, which is fully challenging, I'm sure, in itself, was there anything else that really challenged you about this particular, I mean, sounds like you were a bit overwhelmed and but still able to focus with so much going on. I mean, you slept in your car. How much sleep?
No, but what's funny was when then I just realized this looking back at Paranormal Perry and his tape. It was almost like a God-given thing that I slept in my car because Paranormal Perry was kind of questionable. Like, does he, like it was one thing that I
He
think it was
was a
because
bit disheveled.
well, I think because they didn't have a car for Perry to pull up in that would make sense, that they did have me say a line of like, oh, my stuff's back in my car, but it's parked, and the idea was like, well, I don't actually drive the car anymore for some reason. But I yet maybe I live in my car. Right. And so that was actually kind of something that maybe came out of me sleeping in my car. But it also, that led to that storyline of, well, why doesn't he drive a car anymore? Why is he running and walking like a Forrest Gump thing? And that, when I come up with that storyline about killing my family and stuff like that in the car, it's probably, it all leads, one thing leads to another in a sense, because you have to justify something. And you're like, oh, wait a second, why doesn't he drive? Why is he hauling all this gear, sweating his ass off? Oh, because there's got to be something that holds him back from driving. You know what I mean? And so,
And also, there's no team. Usually, a paranormal expert comes with a team of
yeah,
people.
he's
So
the
somebody has to,
loner.
yeah. I found
You
that
know
as a
what?
unique part
Well,
too.
the good thing about that was that's a happy accident. That whole Bob Ross happy accident of I was going to be a married couple showing up on Christmas. And then when I was a solo guy showing up on Christmas or the day before Christmas, um, we were all kind of like, what kind of guy is this that, I mean, let me just say first out of the gate, I definitely was already going to be like a Jim Carrey cable guy type of guy. I already knew that that's the oil and water. I need to be the third wheel here on this couple. You know what I mean? They're the couple and I'm the third wheel. So where do you go? Okay, you got to go that kind of John Candy, trains, planes, and automobile. What about Bob? That type of stuff, right? And so, but with that said, it was kind of like the darker storyline that Perry carried with him was sort of like, well, why is he the only guy available at Christmas? You know what I mean? What is this guy's story that he would be so so available, but yet unavailable to his family members? Or why doesn't he have something else to do on Christmas? What is his dark little secret that's going to come out? So it was pretty cool. And I love the way uh, the ghost effects at the end worked. And I'm not crapping you here. We're talking about like a fishing string on a plate. You know what I mean? That plate rattling and getting yanked was a guy with a fishing string, and then
I was
them
going to
saying
ask you
pull.
about that. That was one of my favorite parts of the entire. That was it was just incredible to watch it.
Yeah,
The plate.
well, it's just so funny that it just like pull, and then like we're just launching a plate across the thing, and then it's like swipe cut, and then it's already cut into her head, and then she does that. And the same thing with the me with I had all the candy canes impaled into me, and that was basically. I'm sorry if we're doing any spoiler alerts here, but
No, no, no. I
I
thought
just
the
want
candy cane things were very cool. It
yeah,
just that
and
was a
those were
pretty cool.
yeah,
Talk
the way
about
you
that.
do
Talk
that,
about the
yeah.
stunt work that had to go into that and the process of having all that stuff impaling you.
Here's the hardest thing with the stunt work on my side is falling, because I had to fall and I could have felt a lot better. Trust me. People might go, oh, he kind of felt lame. I do have to worry about my own life a little bit. And the reason I bring that up is I had a candy cane. If you go and look at it, there's a candy cane impaled up my nose, right? And and I do, it really did go all the way up my nose, the candy cane, right? And if I fell wrong, that would have gone in my brain, because I really did. I could show you, like,
Oh my gosh, it's like all the way up in your sinus, like a COVID test. It
yeah,
goes all the way that far back.
yeah. Oh, this one might even go over that. Well, let's see. Oh, hold on. The pen, though, not the kill. Ow, that hurt. Yeah, I couldn't do it. Ow. 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 I'm police, call 911. You didn't think you'd have a show where a guy was shoving a pen up his nose, did you? It's my son's. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to clean him off. Next.
Those were some of my favorite moments to film. And also, it sounds like the most challenging parts for you to film. What were some of your personal favorites that you shot for the series, for the limited area? I mean, for your particular tape, I should say.
Okay, so going back to the most challenging stuff, though, for me, believe it or not, was it's easy for me to play jackass. It's easy for me to like, you could see how much I talk. So it's easy for me just to shoot the shit and spit. However, I did have to throw in some sort of camera lingo or ghost hunting lingo, right? And I didn't know any of that. And I thought, well, we did decide, like, what does Perry really need to know? It should be clear and obvious that he's kind of crazy and that whatever kind of lingo he's saying is sort of BS in the first place, making them question, what is this guy about? You know what I'm saying? So that probably actually was the part that I was like, I have to actually think a little, even though what I said was still terrible and crappy, that's the best I could come up with when it came to like ghost lingo stuff. But I love my favorite little magical moment that came up while we were shooting was there was the main it was like a Santa thing, right, on the fireplace, and this was going to be the main possessed piece of ornaments that she found, right? And I went, you wait, that's not yours. And I walk up to it and I pick it up. And I was going to tell, this is where I was going to tell the story because it reminds me of the ornament that we used to have in my house. And I tell the story of how I killed my family on Christmas, right? And I didn't see the film, so I don't know if this is in the film or how well played. I didn't know it was a music box, right? And nobody knew, actually. Nobody knew because these were really just kind of like Goodwill, Salvation Army ornaments that they found in popped up places and said, okay, we're good. So the wind thing, when I picked it up, was it just as I moved it, it only had a little bit left and it went ding, dong, dong, ding. It started playing so creepy because it was just like this last gasp of a, but it actually shocked me and everyone else that it even did that. And as I was telling the story, it started making the noise, but I realized it. And so I started just like underneath moving it around a little bit more to kind of keep it going. And that moment shocked everyone. I wouldn't say it was scary, but it was such a weird Bob Ross happy accident surprise. Everyone was holding a laugh in. I mean, the camera guy, the directors, people had to leave the room because as I was telling the story and making this thing go ding, ding, bang, ding. So I love that. It was pretty cool that those are those happy things that happen when you're like, wow, this could be kind of this something so simple that we're shooting in one day. We shot this in one day, one afternoon. We just went and did this. So I love it. I'm actually really excited that it's coming out, that people are going to be able to see that. Because honestly, this is this is something anyone out there, if you've got cameras and you've got, some Christmas ornaments or an idea, why don't you could do the Halloween tapes, because there's, take advantage of all these neighbors that have all these crazy Halloween decorations. Maybe there's some funny story that you could just go shoot with your phone and your stuff, and you might be able to have a movie out. So
I mean, this is Christmas horror film, and I found out recently it's a subgenre that it's quite popular, Christmas horror. I wasn't aware of. So I think this is such a great addition to that. I mean, what do you think it is that's going to make it a time-honored either holiday watch or horror watch?
yeah, it's so funny because someone said like it's a holiday horror movie, and then and I was like, no, it's a horror holiday movie. It's like, but it's so funny. There is a convention out here in California called Season Screamings, right? And it's coming up December 5th. And last year, a friend of mine got on this show for a signing, and I was like, well, I'm in town. Maybe I should come down there. And I like to meet people and sign, and it's fun to make a little extra money on the side, and really just shoot the crap with the fans. Just like I'm talking with you, I sit at a table and sign a doofy photo, and then we talk. If they have questions, it's a lot of fun at these conventions. So I remember I hit them up, and they said, oh, we're only having people with Christmas horror credits at that season screening. So you brought that up as the genre, and I went, oh, I must have a Christmas horror credit. Hold on, hold on. No, I don't. And next thing you know, then this was the manifestation of it. Because I think we shot this in June. Yeah, we shot this June. Probably got the call in May from Rob to do this, and or even like late April, and we worked out what dates would work and coming up to Sacramento. Because the big question was, are we all coming up to Sacramento, or is he and his team going to come down to Los Angeles and we're going to find a place to shoot? It worked out better. It always works out better for something of this ilk, especially with budget constraints, to shoot it in your own town, uh, where you can pull favors, where people, where you might be able to find a house, and also if you're shooting LA, every neighbor's like, oh, do you have a permit? I need money and this and that. I'm going to turn my stereo up so you can't shoot. So it's always better to do it in the smaller areas outside of Los Angeles. And I enjoy traveling to do it, but I know I'm rambling off your question, but I was aware that there is a lot outside of horror happening on Halloween. Horror happening on Christmas is the next biggest date. You know what I mean? And then maybe it's Easter 2. I'd put Easter 2 in front of Easter 1. There is no Easter 2. It will happen though someday. When he comes back, there's going to be an Easter 2, I would think, right? That's my joke. That's my joke.
Well, I mean, this is such, I think, the perfect film for you because you do have such a penchant for improv, but also a little dark humor. I mean, that's Dave Sheridan. So I think this is such a great role for you. And I think this is going to be one of those films that I think people do watch at either holiday because it combines the perfect amount, I think, of both the
Yeah,
darkness, but also the holiday. holiday. Families get messed up at the holidays and
yeah.
there's
I
different things that happen. So,
I
yeah, I
would,
think
yeah.
this is perfect.
I Thanks for saying that, and I would agree with you on it. Sort of is endless um, to do anything related to a holiday as major as the Christmas time holiday. There are so many stories out there, and there's so many different levels of families, and there's so many just different, ways people celebrate Christmas, or Christmas adventures, places people go for Christmas. So I think one of the funny things is that the beauty of this being an anthology, the Christmas tapes, well, it certainly is. There's no doubt we can do a Christmas Tapes 2, a Christmas Tapes 3, you know what I mean? And start to explore and where they can go. And I don't think it's always going to be in the found footage realm. I think now we can start getting into more scripted. And the beauty of this, for anybody that has an opportunity to see it, and I believe it's coming out like early December on like streaming platforms.
It's released December 16th on digital worldwide.
Yeah,
And it's you and Greg
it's
Vernon
Vernon
Wells.
Wells is a good friend of mine. I love the man. He is a true thespian, and I didn't know that until I met him, because the biggest thing he's really known for is Road Warrior as the Mohawk guy. And I was youngin' then, watching him play that, and he played that so well. I thought they just found a crazy rugby punk rocker guy just to go and play this nutbag. But when you meet Vernon, you're like, you are not that guy. You're a performer. You play characters remarkably. And he's a gentleman. He's from Australia, which is very rare. There's not a lot of gentlemen from Australia. You know what I mean? They're usually the rougher, tougher, you know, men, I guess. So either way, he's great. And he's great in this too. And I can't wait to see where this goes. Check it out on that early December. I know it's out on Blu-ray as well. It'll be out on Blu-ray DVD. But the good news is, if you get in this now and watch this, you could be a part of this sort of Christmas Tapes family and see where we take it after this. You know what I mean? So I'm excited.
December 12th digital and December 16th worldwide. So
Awesome.
everybody has a chance to check it out soon. Have you been busy working on any other projects recently?
My newest project, I must be the man of horror and holidays. My next one, you're not going to believe this. My next one's called New Fear's Eve, and it takes place on New Year's Eve. I didn't even realize that. I'm talking about a film called The Christmas Tapes, and I'm moving right into New Fear's Eve, and then I'm going to have Valentine's Day Murderers. St. Patrick Kills. I don't know, but anyway, that just to let you know, anybody out there, this is another thing that I love doing. I've discovered about a year and a half ago with some other filmmakers, and it just empowers the artist so much. This is the true. This is when they talk about, hey, everyone has a camera now, you can shoot a movie. Everyone has a laptop. Everyone has access to where they can put it. You can put it on YouTube and get your stuff seen. But you do need funding. You always need some form of funding, no matter what the level is. Now, a smarter filmmaker will try to create something that they can do what we call on a shoestring budget or ultra low budget. But eventually, you want to, shoot something with a budget that matches what you want to purvey and show people for your craft. So there is Indiegogo as arisen as a sort of great way for independent filmmakers that I work with to raise money to go shoot their film. And it's all about what they call backers, but it's really all about pre-buying and pre-ordering the movie. So there's a movie called New Fear's Eve on Indiegogo right now that I'm working with these filmmakers from Kentucky. We're actually going to shoot in Kentucky on New Year's Eve, the first week of January. Hopefully I'm hoping the weather's bad because I want it to be snowy. I want it to look cool. You know what I mean? I don't want, oh, wow, we're having a really warm New Year's Eve. That would kill the whole point is to have it look like New Year's Eve. So you can check that out. It's Indiegogo New Year's Eve, and there's lots of ways to contribute. You can get credits. You can get producer credits, on IMDb. You can actually act in the movie if you want. And then, or you just can simply pre-buy a Blu-ray and support it by pre-buying a first edition Blu-ray. And the cool thing about these first edition Blu-rays that they sell on Indiegogo are they're not the official releases. They're usually going to be a different cut, probably longer, because then when it gets distributing, the distributor is going to cut it down. They're going to have a different artwork on the box. Again, the distributing and will decide the credits. They're going to decide which names are at the top of the box, what artwork is going to be used, what writing is on it, everything. And then also the deleted scenes and anything extra will be on this Blu-ray, might not be on the Blu-ray a major distributor will put out once it's sold. So I always find these Indiegogo first edition Blu-rays to be pretty cool because they're usually collector items immediately because they only make about, like I think on this one, we're only going to print about 500
I was just going to
Blu-rays.
say it's very limited edition, and people are going to really want to hold on to that version of the
I
movie.
collected them. I've collected movies that I've got casts. Oh, and they always come with like myself and the other cast members signing, autographing. So that again is like already worth a certain amount, but there's 5 autographs on this limited edition first edition Blu-ray. So go check that out if you can support us. It's called New Fear's Eve. Take a look at what's available, and if you want to come be a part of the movie, even come act with me, I would love to meet you. Yeah.